Here from the Dusty Longbox. And I want to thank everyone for supporting just so wonderfully the Dusty Longbox as I go through exploring the comic books from my childhood. This really was a thing where I came across these in a warehouse that we have. So I started just saying, well, what if I started showing these? Maybe people would be interested because they are kind of part of history if you're into comic books. If you're not, you think it's a bunch of BS, right? Anyway, a friend of mine said, you should go live. I'm like, okay, I have no idea who would watch this. And so if you're here, do me a favor, click that like button or just maybe say hi. I'm trying to figure something out here. Hold on. I know this is all sad, right? Anyway, I thought I would do a reveal right here live for you. So if you've been watching any of the videos, then you know that I find a few books. I try to do it in terms of doing it in a short, so they're 3 minutes or less. And I just grabbed a stack today out of the Dusty Long Box and said, well, let's show them here. And if no one sees them, at least I have another short that I can make today, and we'll do it that way, right? So anyway, here we are. Let us see the first ones that we have. So, boy, this is kind of a strange thing. So it looks like a Spider-Man pile. Spider-Man was obviously huge in the 1960s and still is. I saw a poll the other day that said he's the #1 superhero in the world, more recognition than even Superman or Batman. So that's got to be feeling good for Marvel and all those people. But this is number 52. If I remember correctly, this had to do with the Kingpin. Not on the cover, but did have J. Jonah Jameson and Spidey tied together to die a hero. So that was, I remember that issue quite well. J. Jonah Jameson, interesting. Did any of you know this? Steve Ditko was so angry with how he was treated by Stan Lee. This is the rumor that J. Jonah Jameson and his abrasive ways and the way that he looked were actually a takeoff, a caricature of Stan Lee. So that's how, of course, obviously J. Jonah Jameson's a big antagonist for Spider-Man throughout the years. And years later, when Jack Kirby moved over to DC for a short while, he would create a character called Funky Flashman, which was obviously Stan Lee. There's no way in the world this was not Stan Lee, and you can see that. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? Good to see you here. I'm seeing some other people pop in. So I just want to say hi. I'm not sure I can pronounce the names, but I hope that you are doing well. So we've got about 14 people here. So I'll show it again here. If you did, we just went into the Dusty Long Box and pulled out Spider-Man number 52. So this had to be like around 1967. I'm thinking that this came out. It's in pretty good shape. Got a little tiny rip right up in this corner. Now, I don't pay to get any of my books graded. I'm not going to pay someone $100, whatever it costs, to find out that my book is worth $75. People keep telling me, get it graded, and you can find out. I'm more interested in what can I sell this for to someone who is not graded. So I don't know. What do you think this goes for? Anyone on here have any idea? If it's not graded, it's got some wear and tear. This is definitely not a new book. You can see on the bottom down here. Obviously, it's a little frayed looking. A little tear up here. The inside, well, let's just have a look, shall we? That is the book, the original comic book of To Die a Hero. So it's in good shape inside. Yeah, there's the Kingpin. This was like the first time the Kingpin was coming into the books. I think in 51 he actually was the first time that the Kingpin came in. So you can see the book is actually pretty good shape. Not bad at all. It's a little yellow, not white pages. But yeah, so that is, I don't remember who died a hero. And I don't know what's wrong with, look at J. Jonah Jameson's eye here. Can you see that? That kind of strange looking eye. The one looks pretty good, but look at this one right here. It's like bizarre looking. I never noticed that before. Of course, I haven't looked at this book in probably 40 years. So, who's to say, right? Who's to say? So we have another book here, another Spider-Man. Now this one's number 200. Everything now 100 and 200, all that right here. Well, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that, Stephanie. I do appreciate everyone who supports. So this is Spider-Man 200. I have no memory of what was going on in Spider-Man around this time. Spider-Man versus the burglar. I guess that's the burglar who killed Uncle Ben. It's a cover by John Romita. 75 cents, a double-sized issue. Inside is Stan wrote it, but who drew it? Oh, Marv Wolfman wrote it. Oh, Keith Pollard and Jim Mooney were the artists in here. So again, you can kind of see, it certainly has that Romita influence, though, on the faces. If you can see, especially Peter Parker's face right there. But that's Spider-Man 200. Again, I don't grade my comics. I don't know. I'm not going to pay that, so I don't know what these are worth. Yes, I can Google it, but you get everything from eBay that has prices of like $6, and then it goes to $295. So it's kind of weird. If you have any idea, feel free to let me know your opinion. Spider-Man 52 and Spider-Man number 200. Let's see what else is around here. Spider-Man number 66. One of my favorite Spider-Man villains when I was a kid. Hi, Sunset of Doom. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. The Mysterio there. This is Spider-Man number 66. This was where, at the end of it, Spider-Man thinks that he's shrunk down to the size of a G.I. Joe or something. It's all part of Mysterio's plan. And look at this interesting way to do this down here. Retailers, see page 32 for special display allowance plan. They were even telling the retailers, like, they're advertising on the covers of the comics back then. So again, it's not in perfect condition by any means. I'm imagining this is like a 5. You can see some of the problems back here where it's frayed. These were kept, I've had these for a long time. This book came out in 1968. So book's been around a long time. Certainly got read a lot, probably when I was much younger, but now not so much. Stephanie Morales, you asked, do you like Spider-Man? I do like Spider-Man. I've always liked Spider-Man. I think the thing about Spider-Man, that the thing that Stan Lee tapped into and Ditko's original artwork got into was that he was just a kid. All of our other people, all of our other heroes at the time were Superman, Batman. They were professionals. They were adults. They did, they started with Teen Titans trying to make us feel like we were part of that. But it was Stan Lee who actually tapped into making a hero a teenager just like everyone at the time. And that's what we all really got into about it. So, yeah, Spider-Man was big at the time. If you weren't alive back then, it's kind of hard, I think, for some people to imagine how big of an impact Marvel was having with the books and the stories back in the 1960s. It was, everything else. If you think about Superman or Batman, hi Avery. You think about Superman or Batman, it was always the adventures. They never connected one issue to another. The whole thing was Lois Lane trying to find out if Superman was Clark Kent, Vicky Vale trying to find out if Batman was Bruce Wayne. Those were the stories. But when you got into these stories, they were connected. They would continue the next issue. Aunt May was always going to die. Spider-Man wasn't liked as Peter Parker. So there were all these things going on. And people were writing about it. Things like the New York Times and magazines, major magazines, it was talked about on the news. Comic books weren't talked about back then. The only place you could find them were going into the spinner racks at 7-Eleven, some drugstores or something like that. So it was really a big deal back then. So Spider-Man was huge and became really big during that time. That's why we all wanted that one movie to come out, which it took years and years to do. It took until 2000, was it 2002 when that movie finally came out with Tobey Maguire. But Spider-Man was big. And apparently this one bag was put together with that in mind, because here we go again, Spider-Man, Crisis on Campus, number 68. So you can see here, Spider-Man's trying to solve the war problems. One thing that Marvel did not do was talk about the Vietnam War that much. I think there was an issue of Captain America in the 70s, maybe. There was an issue of Thor that kind of dealt with it. So talking about the protests on campus that were happening at the time, that was really big to have that happen and to have it happen on a cover like that. A few issues later, we got the first appearance of Man Mountain Marco. Is anyone who reads comic books still these days? Did Man Mountain Marco ever become a thing? Um, I don't remember this that well. I don't remember him being a big villain in Spider-Man's life. But Man Mountain Marco, this one is in much better shape. Oh, I see, Silvermane. Ah, this introduced Silvermane to the Spider-Man world. He did become kind of a big thing. Understand, possible he'll be one of the villains in the next Spider-Man movie. So we can see about that, right? The Spider-Man special, this was a reprint of the first annual. So this is Spider-Man fighting the Sinister Six. I remember I loved this book because I never got the original when it came out. So having a reprint come out that we could afford, and it had these wonderful posters, one-page battles going on. Ditko at his finest. There's a lot of things you can say about Steve Ditko and his art. Wasn't the fanciest, but when it got to something like this, it got really great. And then, of course, you also had like guest appearances by other superheroes. Wow, again, you didn't see that in DC happening at the time. It was really exciting to open up a page of Spider-Man or the Fantastic Four, and they would point out that Thor was flying by. That'd be the only reference at all. And one more here, and then we'll kind of wrap up this experiment of going live. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in here. Spider-Man number 78, The Night of the Prowler. Did the Prowler show up in the animated Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies that just came out? So this is the first appearance of the Prowler. This, if I remember correctly, turned out being one of Peter Parker's friends. Was it maybe it was Joe Robertson's son or something like that? I don't remember now. But these were just great, and they really, when you were a kid, and 15 cents for a comic. I think at the time my allowance was 25 cents a week. So, is there a Spider-Man movie coming out? Yes, they're shooting it right now with Tom Holland. Spider-Man 4 is going to be coming out. I'm sure it's something to do with Day, Brand New Day or something like that. So, I think Tom Holland's been a great Spider-Man. What about everyone else? What do you think about it? I think he's really captured that essence of Peter Parker. And that's what you have to do because anyone can put that mask on. Tobey Maguire was okay, but he looked a little too old to be Peter Parker as far as I was concerned. Andrew Garfield, I don't blame him. Nice try. But I thought Tom Holland really, now he got lost in all that Tony Stark Avengers storyline, sort of. So when the other movies came out, that was good. I was kind of disappointed they didn't follow the whole Mary Jane Watson, but we did see that earlier with the other films. So I can appreciate what they did with that. I think all in all, a lot of these films, let me talk about that for just one second. We really, really, in the 60s, when I was a kid, all we wanted was to see a movie or a really good cartoon. And the cartoons would come out, they weren't great. You can go back and find them on YouTube now, I know, and see them and look at them and everything else. But, I'm not sure that they had that TV show in the 70s, I think it was, maybe it was the early 80s, with the guy that was one of the kids from The Sound of Music, played Peter Parker. Hammond was his name, Nicholas Hammond. So having these Avengers movies come out when they finally did, and Iron Man really kicked it off. I know there was a couple of Hulk movies before, but that Iron Man movie really did it. And yeah, I was a much older guy, but that little kid in me just jumped for joy at seeing Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Avengers, and pretty true to the comic book. So I was thrilled. It's all kind of gotten out of hand now, and it's kind of hard for me to follow. And I'm assuming the storylines are closer to what's in the books now, as opposed to 60 years ago or 50 years ago when I was reading comic books. But yeah, do you like Iron Man? Yeah, I like Iron Man the movie, and Iron Man the comic was okay. It was good. What about you? Did you like Iron Man, Stephanie? Yeah, he's cool. Uh, Iron Man artist. I don't know who. I mean, it's so different now. I am watching the Iron Heart series on the Marvel or on the Disney Plus, and I guess that's a whole takeoff. Was Ironheart a comic book character? Because that was obviously long past when I was reading. It's an interesting storyline. Take me a long time to get through that series though, but I like the way that Marvel's doing this series and kind of keeping the interest and everything going. So anyway, look, there are more comics here. I'm going to actually wrap this up though for right now. We're almost at 15 minutes, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. I hope you enjoyed and had a good time. You can follow me on the Dusty Longbox with Bill Monty. or just look for Bill Monty. I have a couple of channels on YouTube. My podcasts are Tales from South Florida and Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older, and plus the Dusty Longbox, which is the one I really, really enjoy. The podcasts are fun, but diving back into these books is really, really great for me. So I am going to say thank you very much. Have a happy Veterans Day. And if you have the day off day, if you're in America, that's great. If be sure if you see a veteran, be sure to thank them for their service. I do have lots of more comic books, and we'll be doing this more in the future, Stephanie. I'm not even gonna look at it here, but here's the rest of this bag that I didn't even take out here. You can see I'll give you one more Spider-Man there, right? And we will see in the next time that we go live. I'm also going to be going over to TikTok to do a live version of this. If you want to follow me there, just look for Podcaster Bill. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And as I say at the end of every video, AlkaSeltzior.